The first time I played it was with the Youngstown Symphony, which was a job that I had before this job. And at that time I was playing second clarinet, so the first time I actually played the principal part was here in Alabama, I think about 5 or 6 years ago. So that was quite a, there was quite a difference because the first clarinet part actually has like far more solos and exposed parts, so it was, yeah, a very different experience, but fun, yeah. I think it's impossible for me to choose. I mean, there's so many incredible moments throughout the piece, but I guess the idea about it that I like, it's this idea that Scheherazade, the princess, that this piece is about, that she basically is essentially saving her life by, you know, telling the stories to the prince, which, you know, helps her escape this fate that all of her predecessors have fallen to. So she's weaving these, you know, colorful, beautiful, exotic tales throughout the piece, and I just like listening to all the violin solos and the wind solos that are so florid and you know, technically virtuosic, which sort of creates this idea that she's essentially like spinning these tales for the prince. So yeah, that's my favorite aspect of the work, I guess, is he's so successful at, you know, creating the color and the vividness and the exotic quality of the piece. Yeah, I think, well, I don't know if it's out of the ordinary. There's, like I said before, there's lots of clarinet solos, and then in the second movement there's sort of a long extended cadenza that wouldn't be, you know, we don't have too many sort of beautiful extended cadenzas like that, so that would be one thing. And then I guess another point of interest would be there's a change from, like, the first two movements and the last movement are on A clarinet, and then the third movement is on B flat clarinet. I think that's a really good question, and that's something that I get asked a lot from audience members that may or may not know why they see us switching clarinets in a piece. And, you know, there is certainly an argument that the timbre is different between the A and the B flat clarinet, so the A clarinet is 1/2 step lower, so it's slightly darker and deeper. But I would say that most people would have a hard time distinguishing the color variation. Usually it's used so that because, you know, there's the B flat clarinet while all the other instruments are in C. So if that then puts the clarinet part in a very difficult key, often putting it on A will put it into a key that's not quite so hard to play in. So especially for a piece like this where there's so many notes and so much activity that the easier key can make a huge difference in our ability to execute it. I guess this, without getting too complicated, I think it's interesting to hear, like, the themes themselves are actually really simple. Like, he just uses a few notes that kind of, he just changes the order, changes the shape, or adds grace notes, or, like I said before, kind of like notes that circle around the main notes. There are these extended sort of variations throughout, so I would, if I were an audience member, whether I was a new listener or a, you know, listener for the second or third or fourth or fifth time, I would try and pick out those sort of main themes and then where the variations in the theme happen and, you know, what instruments, you know, get those themes. And then I think it would be fun too to listen for, you know, the representation of, you know, the prince versus the princess Scheherazade throughout as well.